I would say for everyone listening who is a poop scoop company owner, like for a local business, putting up yard signs is huge. I don't think a lot of people realize how good yard signs do perform. So that's where you have to be a little bit more careful. Like during summertime, we're not going to have a max budget, obviously. Also, one thing I do want to say about the poop scoop industry is not a lot of people actually know the poop scoop industry exists unless you have a business that's been there established for a long period of time. I do recommend for people if you are to start your advertising, say today when it comes to Facebook, to not just double your budget, triple your budget, quadruple your budget. You're going to want to.
What's up, Scoop Podcast? I'm your host, Erica Kruppen, and on today's episode, I have the current marketing manager, Tanner of Swoop Scoop. This is an exclusive episode, so if you got anything else going on, pause it, grab a drink, and tune in because we're about to find out some amazing information that's going to help set your business up for success, especially with going into the spring rush. So welcome to the show, Tanner.
Thank you for having me, Erica. Big honor to be here. As Erica said, I am the marketing manager over at Swoop Scoop and also run the PSM ad services for Poop Scoop Millionaire. So pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm really excited. When I was talking to William last week, we were talking about him and I doing an interview, and I was like, I'd really love to interview Tanner and Samantha, and he's like, yeah, sure, not a problem. I'm like, that quick? Okay, I love it. Let's go. So,
Yeah, he's been trying to get me to do more and more stuff that's on the camera, and I always volunteer to try to get onto the YouTube channel and other things, but it's really difficult at certain times just because of how much is on your plate. And there's always so many little small tasks that can be done.
oh yeah, like Thursdays are my recording day, and every Thursday something has happened, so I've gotten further and further behind. So today I shut everything off. I told everybody, I said, do not distract me. I don't care what's going on right now. I have to record. And I'm happy to say this is my 6th recording today. So I'm on fire today.
Yeah, 6 recordings is a lot.
Well, I had to get caught up because I was so far behind because the business, as you know, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. But spring rush is upon us. Spring rush is the most important time for our business. And so something has to take a back seat because there's only so much of Erica to go around. So I was falling behind on my content creation. So today was the day to get caught back up on it. But that's not why we're here. We're not here to talk about my content schedule. We're actually here to pick your brain and learn some stuff about, the poop scooping industry. I want to get to know like your background, like how did you make your way to Swoop Scoop? Like I want to know all the details. So before I go in, I start asking, all my crazy questions. Can you give us and the listeners just a little highlight reel of who you are and like your history in the marketing background?
Yeah, of course. So again, my name's Tanner Fitzpatrick, and I started in brand and product marketing. So my very first job out of college was with a company called eTails, and what I did was actually created products for them for their private label brand, and then that's where I got a foray into branding, and then I ran all of our social media marketing. And from there, we had a pretty successful launch of private label products and I actually created my own brand of products in the health space that was called the Keto One multivitamin. And I did essentially put together some daily vitamins and minerals, BHB, MCT oil, and it was right when keto was kicking off. And I did this with a business partner. We sold out of our inventory in about 3 weeks of 300 units. And then we bought 2,000 more units. And when we repurchased the inventory, it took about 2 weeks and we were selling about 30 to 50 units per day of this product. And Amazon just shut us down. And so after they shut our account down, we tried multiple times to get it back up and going. But usually when something like that happens, it's like you're guilty first, innocent last. And a lot of competitors in this space will continually just try to shut down the smaller um, sellers before they get enough reviews and enough pull with Amazon. So we essentially had to get rid of all of our units of inventory. My business partner actually got a job with Amazon at that time, and so he wasn't too concerned about it. And after that, I was like, okay, maybe having my own business isn't really my thing, but I was kind of ready to move up to the next level within the marketing industry. And I very, very luckily got a job as a product manager for a really large registered agent and LLC company. And they were national, one of the largest, called Registered Agents Inc. And when I started with them, my job was to control 50 different websites, do all of the branding across the 50 different websites, and basically make them all cohesive with their own brands because they were all just kind of cookie cutter at the time. There's a lot more to this, but I'll keep it just very short. And so, about 2 months after was when we had COVID. And when COVID hit, our Google Ads manager actually left voluntarily, and we were spending anywhere from 100,000 to $250,000 a month on Google Ads. And so, since I was like the only other one that was a manager within the marketing department, and I've had Facebook and Google Ads experience, I essentially took over our whole $250,000 budget on there. And it actually went really well. A lot of the time, it's just kind of making sure nothing breaks too bad, just checking negative keyword lists. There's not a whole lot of new keywords that you can add when it's just so big and broad. Like there always is, but you can't get too granular at all times. So it's just kind of slowly raising it up and removing negative keywords. And while I was on that, I also found about $200,000 in invalid clicks because at the time they didn't have automated invalid clicks like they do today. And so I got a free $200,000 for our company, which they were very happy about. And I was in that role for, I want to say, about 5 or 6 months. And I also took over our social media channels at that time, grew that from about 20,000 in revenue for us in social media to about $65,000 a month. And then I transitioned because we didn't do any direct mail or email marketing for how large the company was, which is surprising. So I had to create a whole internal email and direct mail marketing system with the help of our development team. And that was the last project that I had worked on there. I was in that position for about 2 years in the email and direct mail. And after that, I transitioned over to working and starting an agency with an individual from the first company that I worked with, which was eTails. And so this was called Ace of Books. I led and managed a marketing division over there. It was an agency, got on about 20 clients by the time that I left there. And I also started up a private label division for them. But the reason I had left that place was basically I was working two jobs, both 40 hours a week, and just couldn't keep up with, I mean, the hours. Like it just burns you out after a while. So I was there for about 2 years doing that. And then a couple of my clients there actually tried to headhunt me after I left there to just come do the marketing for them individually, which was funny, but I didn't want to do that to my previous company. I at least liked the people that was the CEO and the individuals I worked with. So before I left there, I was just looking for a company that was local. I'm from Spokane. And so I interviewed for Swoop Scoop and the Spokesman Review at the same exact time. Two completely different vibes. I walked into the Spokesman Review the day before I actually interviewed for my first time at Swoop Scoop, and it's like nobody's there, huge office, and it's just the most dull, boring vibe for an hour and a half long interview. I think I did really well. They were happy with me, but I just thought the whole time I was like, I cannot work work here. And I show up to Swoop Scoop the next day, and Will and Levi are both just like in their t-shirt shorts, just sitting there. And I was like, oh, like this is very casual office. But we hit it off like pretty instantly. And so, yeah, ever since then, just been working at Swoop Scoop. I think I started about 2 weeks after they were looking for the position for, they told me like 3 to 4 months. And so it was just a perfect fit on both sides when I got here.
Cool. So when you applied for it, when you originally seen like a poop scooping company, you're like, eh, why not? Let's just give it a shot. This is weird.
Honestly, I wasn't really thinking much of like the poop scooping aspect about it. I don't think I don't even think I really like put two and two together when I first applied for it. I was like, oh, marketing managing position, like this is right up my alley. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. And then I got in and it was funny because one of the first things they asked me was like, "Do you understand how this job works?" And for me, I actually had previously looked into purchasing a bin cleaning business, and so like cleaning people's garbage cans. And I was looking pretty heavily into that for about 6 months. And I had brought that up in our interview, and Levi's like, "Oh yeah, like my brother-in-law has one of those businesses," and that was one thing that we were actually looking into before. Um, but yeah, there wasn't really anything about the poop scooping that kind of deterred me. I was like, well, it's a service people needed, and they seem to be doing really well around town. I see their trucks all over the place. So
That's cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. You have an extensive background, and I do remember when I was talking to William and Levi, and they said they were bringing you on. Like they were ecstatic. They were so excited because you knew things like the question, or you brought something to their attention, and they were like highly impressed that you knew as like specific numbers. Um, so yeah.
yeah, they always bring up one of the things is that they asked me what the marketing frequency of ads should be. And I told them that it should be around 4 or 5. And yeah, they just were super, super happy about that. I guess I gave a lot of textbook answers, and I didn't really even think of them as textbook just because I don't know. Once you've worked in the industry for so long, you do some research, like watch some YouTube videos, listen to podcasts within the industry. But I mean, when you run marketing for 10 years, it's like you just kind of pick things up as well. So, yeah, they they still talk to this day about how they love when I said 4 to 5 frequency for ads.
Yeah, yeah, they did. That's cool. That's cool. All right, so we're the people that are listening to this, we're pooper scoopers, right? We're heading into our busy season. Spring rush is like super, super important. So my question is, we're nosy. We want to know. So what does the marketing look like for Swoop Scoop right now going into our rush?
Yeah, so ever since about November, we've been slowly ramping up. And typically for our ramp up, that more so means Facebook rather than Google. For our Google, we have a pretty high maxes set for most of our campaigns. And so we always try to max out what we're spending on Google on any given month. But for Facebook, Facebook's going to spend whatever you tell it to spend. So that's where you have to be a little bit more careful. Like during summertime, we're not going to have a max budget, obviously. Um, but during about halfway through October in the Spokane area, at least, we do see a pickup in demand for our services. So we'll slowly start to bring up our ad spend once it starts to get cold. Obviously, for some people, right now it's February. So if they haven't been doing that, it's a little bit too late to start. I do recommend for people if you are to start your advertising, say today when it comes to Facebook, and to not just double your budget, triple your budget, quadruple your budget. You're going to want to, if you have a campaign that's already working, slowly raise that up or create a duplicate campaign and then also utilize that just so you can keep that first campaign still performing well without breaking it by increasing the budget. So, first and foremost, we have been incrementally increasing our budget since about middle of October, November. And so, for Facebook, it's been a little bit weird this year because we haven't really had snow.
Mm,
We've had about 3 days of snow that has stuck on the ground about a month and a half ago. And so right now, honestly, looking outside, it looks like it's Seattle outside right now, like spring weather for us. So we're not 100% sure if we'll have like the large, say, snow thaw. We have been known to get snow within February. Um, but then in December time, I had done a large purchase for us. So we purchased about 5,000 yard signs from Alibaba. And so we have that not just for Spokane, we have them Tacoma. the greater Seattle area, and Spokane. So we've been trying to get up as many yard signs on a weekly basis and getting the logistics dialed in of that just because it's between all of our scoopers. They need to know what the like how many to get up a week, how that fits into their schedule. Sometimes it might be a lead scooper exclusively doing that for the given week, or it may be all of our scoopers putting up, say, 10 signs in a week. So getting that dialed in, I would say for everyone listening who is a poop scoop company owner, like for a local business, putting up yard signs is huge. I don't think a lot of people realize how good yard signs do perform if you can get up enough yard signs. And so focusing on getting up those yard signs, it can be a lot of work, especially if you're a solo scooper, but taking the time, maybe just set out a couple hours on your weekend and just go and put up as many yard signs as you can. It's a little bit sad because half of those are going to be taken down. And so that is a little sad, but that's how people are going to get brand awareness for you. I'd mentioned the 4 to 5 frequency earlier of ads. That was more primarily on Facebook, but you have to get as many touch points with the consumer as possible. So if they see your yard sign, then they go check Facebook, they see your ad on there. Maybe you have a Performance Max campaign on Google, they see that. Then they go and see your yard sign again. Then they go out and look in their yard and realize that they do want your service. Like you always want to be top of mind when they're thinking about the service. So yard signs, Facebook ads, ramping both of those up heavily, staying consistent on Google. So we are bringing up our Google spend when we can. Like I mentioned before, though, it's a little bit difficult to do that. That's more so on the consumer searching the product. So that is going to increase as you do more yard signs, as you do more Facebook marketing, because more people are going to know about your business. And then we did a large billboard purchase as well. We have about 35 billboards and bus benches around Spokane. But the primary reason we did that was Will has had a relationship with a couple billboard companies in the past that are around Spokane. And so they had a little bit of extra real estate for us. So we were able to get a decent deal on those. So it just made sense for us to go with that deal. Obviously, a lot of people aren't able to go and purchase a bunch of billboards in their area. So that's where the yard signs do come in, a cost effective way to get some more branding real estate. And I would say that's probably like our 4 large ones. The billboard is just kind of an extra for us right now.
Yeah, I was talking to William about that earlier. He had mentioned that, and it was one of those things where, I mean, doing billboards and park benches at that scale, like that's big dog stuff, right? So it's like for the people that are kind of just getting started, the new business owners, it's like you Ted talked about max out. I believe you said your Google first, right?
Mhm.
Then go into Facebook, do the yard signs, and then when things are moving and grooving, you got some extra money to spend, then do the benches and the billboards.
Yeah, I think with that too is like if you can get a TV ad that's like pennies on the dollar and somebody's offering you one, sure, take a TV ad, take a radio ad. Um, do things that are maybe outside of the normal that you wouldn't normally do, but don't do it for full price.
Right. That's okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I went on a tangent. One of the videos I recorded earlier, I was talking about a radio ad where I got, like, no airtime, and I had to touch the guy's I touched his dentures, not on purpose, but he left them at my booth. Watch that video. It's about, advertising your business if you only have $1,000. That'll release, like, next month or something like that. Stay tuned. But anyways, the radio ad didn't work for me, and I got a discount, but it still cost me, like, $1,400, and I got no phone calls, so it was like, and I didn't have money to spend at that time for a
I
radio
think
ad.
that's the example that Will and Levi always use is I wanna say it was $10,000 that they gave to Pizza Hut to be, like, on top of the pizza boxes and didn't get one sale from it, so there are you are gonna get burned even if you get a good deal sometimes running advertising, but, I mean, that could even come from Facebook. Sometimes you think that you're doing everything well on Facebook, but your consumer doesn't like your ad. Just because you like your ad that you put out doesn't mean that they are. And so it's always just trial and error when it comes to any sort of marketing. Just sometimes it's if it costs $10,000, it's really hard to try it and have any sort of error from it.
That's true. That's true. Well, since we're on the topic of customers and ads, what What type of ad is our ideal customer liking in 2026?
Yeah, so for us, the way that we try to frame our ads, again, we try to classify ourselves as a premium poop scoop service. And so everything we do is like customer service. We make sure everybody's background checked. Like if we have a problem in the yard, like we're going back, we're fixing it, we're there quickly. We have all of our trucks wrapped. We have every single technician wear the same exact thing. So everything just super, super professional from our standpoint. And so when it comes to our ads, we don't want to just show like a rake with like a poop on it. Like, that's just not really what we're trying to symbolize to somebody. So for us, it's always truck with one of our techs next to it. Just to be frank, women do significantly better for us in advertising than showing a male does. So we try to focus on having women technician. We also have in the past done some photo shoots with models that we still run some of their photos for. They're a little bit more like too perfect, like just all of the staging and everything of it. So they actually don't work as well as just having. We have a very, very simple ad where it's actually just a Photoshop logo over our truck and a Photoshop logo over our shirt because of our branding change. And it's just like our technicians sitting there just like super stoic next to our truck, and it's performed well all year. And so we'll shut it off at times, just run some other ads with it so the frequency doesn't get too high and people get fatigued off of it. But then we'll bring it back in, and what it does is, since the truck is sideways, you just get that logo front and center. But it's not just slapping a logo overlay over a picture, but you get the logo with the person, so you get the person aspect to it, and then the truck is able to be your branding billboard. But tech by truck or by yard sign is great because you're able to do more branding, but also, like, say for if you have a yard sign, it's like we scoop poop, phone number, croupin poopin scoopin or poopinScoopin.com. You're able to have that on there, so you're getting more call to actions, but you're also having a real life person that's displaying it. Those are, I would say, the 2, like, by far best. For snowy conditions, it's actually really funny. For us, what really works is just showing, like, a snowy backyard, and we have a photo that just has a few different pockets that you can just see, like, little brown poops in it, and so we'll circle those. I did a test this year and I overlaid a technician over the top of the photo just to have them like front and center and then that kind of in the background. And that works significantly better than just having the plain photo before. But they used to run the photo before. And so now we added the technician, looks a little bit more professional. Instead of like squiggly lines, we have actual circles around it. But showing people that you can poop scoop in wintertime is big because a lot of people just don't even realize that you can do it. They're like, "You can't get out there, you can't do this." So, letting people know what you can do, that's really big, especially for obviously places that have winter. I know, there's quite a bit of places that have a lot of snow right now, um, and yeah, just making it feel like it's a family-owned business, I would say is really big. So if you have, say, a spouse, a kid that wants to be there and like pointing at your yard sign with you. It's very wholesome, but again, like having that yard sign in the middle, you're telling them exactly who your brand is, but you're adding kind of like a cute family feel to it. That's done really well, as well as just having like a whoever owns the company and a kid. And this isn't just specifically for us. We're testing these on, we have ad account clients as well for Facebook. And so we're able to see this work in a lot of different regions too. And that's what kind of gives us the validity and proof that these are the ads that work. We've tried other things where we've done overlays over the ads of like our brand or maybe like a text box on the side that tells exactly like what we do or what the services we offer. And we always go back to just showing just texts, trucks, and yard signs. So
Now, because you are a premium company, are you promoting your price when you are putting out the content? Do you say anything about pricing?
so we always do a free clean. which is really common now within the poop scoop industry, is to offer a free initial clean because you want people on the recurring plan. So we do that's the only thing we mention about price, is just that the first clean is free. What I have found out in the poop scoop industry is not many people who may be interested in the product know what the price is. So a lot of people are really concerned when it comes to a lot of the larger franchises having very, very cheap prices. But that's where it comes in to have so much marketing around where you're the only person that they think of, because they won't even consider the price just because they know that you're the expert in the industry, because they see your professional trucks all over the place, your yard sign, your advertising online. And that's the space that we try to be in with Swoop Scoop, is we don't mention anything about price. Like we won't even offer like 30% off deals, 20% off deals. Like we don't touch price at all on our side. The only thing that we do offer is that first initial clean. And that's more so the way we frame it is we want you to try our service and love us. Otherwise, you don't need to stay on after the first month. We try not to promote the like like we do say no contracts in it, but we try to promote like cancel anytime, just because obviously you don't want to put that into somebody's head. But that's kind of the main thing for us for the free cleaning framing, is not really like, hey, we know that you're wanting something cheap, come get ours for free, even though there is some subtext under that, is more so try our service, you're gonna love us, we do a great job, and you're gonna stick around with us for a long time.
Yeah, is that what people they call it a value prop? Is that the proper terminology for that?
I don't necessarily know if that would be a value proposition for them. I would say like you had a on yours, I think I saw a deal that you had ran before where it was like buy 2 weeks of service, get like 3 weeks free. Like I would say that would be more so.
Okay, because the reason why I was asking this is because I'm an established brand in the area, and I've gotten a little
Mhm.
confused. I've gotten lost in the weeds with my messaging because I have been like, "Oh, these other people are, the newer companies, the franchises, they're cheaper. Like, am I gonna have to compete on price?" And so I got confused and I started talking about pricing in my advertising. And then I realized that it's like when you are an established company, you do have the established brand. When you are presenting online, it's very much so what you were talking about. You lead with the experience, you lead with who you are, what you have to offer, why we're the best choice. I can't lead with my pricing because like I'm more expensive than most of the people in the market. So it's like if you are the company that has the cheapest rates, then you are the company that can lead with price first because that is your main focus.
Yeah, and you always have in any sort of industry, whether it's service or product based, you're going to have cost leaders. Like you're just going to have the cheapest product on the market. We see it all the time with private label products that are on Amazon that flood the market. It's like you can get a tumbler that's $3 or you can get a hydro flask that's $30. Who knows? I mean, hopefully the Hydro Flask has way better quality, but they might just have better branding. And so, yeah, we try to just pride ourselves on the quality and the branding aspect to it. Uh, Also, one thing I do want to say about the poop scoop industry is not a lot of people actually know the poop scoop industry exists unless you have a business that's been there established for a long period of time. So if people are newer in the poop scoop space and they're in, say they just started up in a town, has 150,000 people, there's never been a poop scoop business there before, people aren't going to know what poop scoop actually costs or what's cheap or what's expensive in the industry. So say if you charge $25 for a week, you do $100 for the month of poop scoop, you charge for the initial clean, like people are going to say no to the price just because they can't afford it in their budget. But the majority of people, at least for us, we don't get a whole lot of people that go, oh, this one's like way cheaper, we're going to go with them. We will have people leave us for us being too expensive and it doesn't fit in their budget, and that's gonna happen. But for the most part, people don't know what it should cost for a poop scooping. And so that's where if you can just get them to A, see that you do poop scooping. B, if they want it, they go to your website, then you can retarget them all you want with your advertising. And if they really want the service, they're going to purchase it. But I mean, at the end of the day, not every single person who is potentially interested in the product is your consumer.
I agree. I agree. Now, we did make mention of the free initial clean. Now, because I know my audience, I cannot just glaze over this and not ask follow-up questions because I'm going to get hot comments down below. Okay. This is a hot topic. This is a very hot topic in our industry, and people get very upset. I have also been one of these people that get upset about it because I had my own feelings. I'm out in there. I'm out in the field scooping. I'm putting my labor in there. My back hurts. My neck hurts. I got to answer the phone. I'm hungry. All of the things. I don't want to give that away for free. But when you're thinking about it in that moment, you're not thinking long term. You're not thinking about lifetime value. I didn't know what lifetime value even was of a customer. So let's unpack the the like what goes behind a free initial clean, why this is a good idea, why it's not a good idea, what your thoughts are on it, and why you guys do it.
Yeah, so we have a lot of scale, and typically the way that we operate uh, is our operations manager will typically run one extra individual for our technician crew. And so for us, we essentially have, I wouldn't say unlimited, but we have a pretty high capacity to be able to go out and do an initial clean and have it take, say, an hour and a half for us. But for us to get on that client, they may or may not have signed up with us, say, if we offered $100 initial clean for them. And obviously, that's just basically a free extra month of pay that we would get for that client. But for us, the way that we look at it is getting somebody onboarded, already used to your service, you get them for the month is a lot harder for them to leave your business than to never have had that client at all. So we take the risk of providing the first initial cleanup because we know that once somebody's in our ecosystem, even if they wanted to leave, like we have our remarketing forum, we have our call list, like we have trained our technicians, especially our leads, to build good rapport with all of these clients. And that's what a lot of these scoop companies should be focusing on is, well, make a relationship with all of your clients. They're not going to want to leave. So yeah, you broke your back, like, you're sore waking up the next day of having, like, a 3-hour initial clean, but in a year, when you still have that client, like, that's going to be a lot more rewarding for you, and so that's the mentality that goes in. Obviously, that's in a perfect world, and it doesn't always work out. There's some people that will abuse the system. They'll get that free first initial clean. Technically, for us, we make them sign up for a month on the initial clean, so, like, we still get some money out of it. If they don't, like, it's break even if they just stayed for 1 month, but you still get that 1 month of money, and maybe they leave. Yeah, that is a bummer, especially if you're a smaller company, maybe you have 10 clients, and that was, like, one of the clients that you had. For us, it's just a risk that we're willing to take on that, and we do not offer free initial cleans once it does come to spring rush and thaws. So that is one key point to make. Free initial cleans are, I mean, essentially, usually it would be until this time of year, but for us, like I said, we have a warmer climate right now, so we still are doing free initial cleans, but we'll probably be stopping them like really, really soon here.
Okay. And when you do the free initial cleans out of the spring rush season and you have the customer pay for their first month of service, what is that verbiage? What does that verbiage sound like?
So for us, I can only really speak to, I guess, the marketing end
Okay.
of it, but for the marketing side of things, I always say just like claim like your free first scoop free when you sign up with Swoop. Like basically, I'll always put your first scoop is free in the first or second line of any advertising that I'm running. Or it's like try like we I guess we don't really do like try us for free. Usually it's always like first poop scoop is free. Like we try to be bluntly obvious when we are promoting our service. This is kind of a side tangent, but it's like we don't ever use the verbiage of like number one in the number two industry or like dodging landmines. Like we don't ever say that in our stuff because if I was reading that as a consumer, I don't really know what we're talking about. So we're like always say poop scoop or like dog waste removal or pooper scooper service or like free initial pooper scooper service. And then down below, sometimes in the advertisement will be like with recurring 1 month service. Like, and so we technically say it within the ad, but we always just lead in those first two lines of free poop scoop service. I hear like some of our sales calls and just like the discussions that we have about potential like initial cleans. Like some people always be like, "Hey, I saw your initial clean deal. Like, can I actually purchase this, but schedule for like 2 months from now?" And we're like if we've had them on before as like a long lasting client, sometimes we will like negotiate some stuff within that. But like this time of the year, it's like, okay, like no, we're not able to do that. But usually it's we since we do a free scoop all the time, it's pretty much just our norm. And so we reach out to the client after they sign up. If they put a credit card on file, we essentially just let them know, hey, we'll be out Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day it is. If they don't have a card on file, then that's where we reach out to them and we say, hey, if you want priority booking and to choose your day, then we can get out there on Tuesday or Thursday of your choice if you can get a card on file. So we try to utilize like them getting to choose that day that we go out or getting a quicker day for us to go out if they do get the card on file, even though we just need the card on file for us to do the service. So we do that. And then if we still don't get a card on file from them when it is their day and we have them on schedule, we if we have room on the schedule, we will have a lead or the tech swing into that person's house just like they would be routed and stop in and say, hey, we noticed that you hadn't put payment info. If you do this, then we can do the cleaning right now. Is this something that you would want to do? And a lot of times it's just like they don't want the service at that point anymore. But we have been able to save a few people from going that route. So that's why we continue to do it. But really, that's the whole process. Like the free clean is already included with all of our services, anyways. So it's pretty much just getting them on the schedule. And the only hurdle to that is, for the most part, is just getting them to have the card on file. We do have some people where it's like, but I really need you to come out Mondays instead of Wednesdays. Like, can you do that? And we're like, sorry, like we have all of this logistics set up. Like we can't really make that happen. Some of our routes, we do have like a Tuesday and a Friday. Maybe we hit the same area. So we have some leeway there. But for the most part, it's like if you can't make this day work, then we can't really make any other day work.
Yeah. Service area and route density is incredibly important, especially if we want to keep our prices as low as possible. So I appreciate you explaining that. I know that's a hot topic. Like I said, I've gone back and forth with it too. Now that I'm not in the field, I don't care. Sure.
You're like all the free cleanings.
Yeah, you gonna sign up? Want to do quarterly billing? Sure, I'll give you a free clean. Does your mama need one too? I'll give her one as well. Okay. Refocus, Erica. Okay, so you told us kind of what's working right now, which is thank you so much. We appreciate it. Keep it simple. Ladies always do better. Awesome. What would you say is something that you're seeing other scoopers do that's not working right now? And you're like, stop doing that. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money.
I always see people, and this is an obvious one, is putting a lot of writing on any sort of social media advertisement. You essentially need zero writing. You can have your logo on there. I mean, maybe if you just have some sort of call out, but if you really do want writing on your advertisement, Facebook just has AI automations that can do overlays for you that fit into exactly the format that you're looking for. So just have images of what you do. All of the writing that you need is in the first two lines of your Facebook advertisement. So local callouts, that's number one when it comes to social media. Always have your local call out. For us, it's like Spokane dog owners. Get your first poop scoop free. Like, that's all we need to tell them. Like, we tell them, okay, obviously we do something with poop scooping. They can get something free, and we're looking for Spokane dog owners. Like, the most simple 2 lines that you can put on any advertisement. And then in our image, we just show somebody standing there. Maybe it's next to a truck, maybe it's out in the field, but like woman scooper, branded shirt, holding a rake and a bucket. And like it looks clean, looks easy, super simple. So just make sure that your first 2 sentences of your ad are what you want people to know. Don't put those sentences over the image of your Facebook ad. Um, so that's when it comes to Facebook. A lot of people just try to make it a lot very, very busy, or they'll have like 3 pictures. They'll have like picture here, picture here, picture here, and it's all in one picture. And it's like, well, when you're going on Instagram, when you're going on a Facebook reel, like that's going to be even smaller than what you see. And so they can't see any of that. Just one single picture. That's what we do. I mean, I know other people have used carousels or other things of that nature. I just stick to mostly just single image ads and keep it simple. We don't even do really a whole lot of videos. We're getting into the time of year we'll probably come out with some videos and test them. Like we're wanting to do maybe a testimonial video and get that together and see how that one performs. We do have some scooping videos, but we try to just stay away from it. Usually it's good for branding, but not very good for sales. People don't really have the retention to watch through and then actually sign up for your service or click through. So just static single image ads when it comes to social media. And then when it comes to websites, that is always a really big problem with people is typically they launch the website when they first launched a business. It's kind of like their baby and they really love their website, but it doesn't necessarily perform in a way that somebody who's doing marketing would want a website to perform. So when it comes to a website, simple is best. All you do is want to tell somebody what you do again, pooper scooper service. We service X area. So like for us, we're Pacific Northwest, pooper scooper service. Then all we have is get a free quote. It's red. The rest of our colors are light blue. So it's really obvious that we just want people to only look at our free quote button. And if they see anything else, all it does is reiterate to them that we're a pooper scooper. I see a lot of people with headlines on their websites where, again, like the headline is like, we make your backyard way cleaner so you can enjoy it. Well, like, what does that mean? Like, are you a waste removal business? Are you a pooper scooper, lawn mowing? Like, are you a cleaner that only cleans grass? Like, what are you actually out here doing? So making sure that you tell people we're a dog waste removal company. Like, that's just all your headline needs to be. Like, we scoop dog poop. Always a great line. I enjoyed that one. But tell people what you do. Don't just give them like a lot of people will try to promote the benefit that they provide to the consumer. So that's where I was saying, like, we clean your yard so you don't have to. Well, like, that's ambiguous. The typical consumer might not really know what that means. So just simplify it down as much as you can. And then make sure that your button to go to your quote is the most prominently colored and the most obvious thing that a consumer will see, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing as a business that you care about the consumer clicking. And then after that, the homepage is, if you have the ability to, make sure that you are able to collect somebody's phone number. Obviously, with consent to be able to send them marketing messages. But if you can collect their phone number, you always have a way of contacting this warm lead. And that is going to be huge for you down the road. The more warm leads you have, the larger of an influx you have of people that you can constantly contact and give promotions to. At that point, that would be the type of individual that we would potentially offer like some sort of promotion to. We typically don't at all, but depending if it's like a certain time of the year, like maybe summertime, you could give like a pretty steep promotion to these individuals. But you
That's what I
really,
with the buy 3 get 1 free. I tested that out in the spring, or not spring, sorry. Towards the end of the summer to lock them in through the winter so they didn't cancel.
Yeah, and that's smart. Like that's where you want to be aggressive. Like you're basically you might be losing a little bit of money up front, But if that client stays on for say 2 months, then you're making way more money than you would have if you never had that deal. So, but if you don't have a prospect list, then you're never able to offer that except for offering it to the general public, where that general public, they could have just signed up without you even having a deal potentially. Whereas the prospect list, you know that you had lost them at some point, so you kind of need to give them a better deal in order for them to sign up for the service.
Yeah,
So,
I didn't get any customers from that deal from the like the social posts that I put out there publicly,
mhm.
but internally through my marketing, like the email drip, I signed up like 18 customers signed up for
Oh,
that first.
really?
Yeah, and so I was like, and those were just current. I just went with my current like customer base that I was actually servicing. I didn't reach out to the people we weren't, but we had serviced prior because I was a little too nervous. I was like, I don't want to send this out to everybody because that's a pretty steep deal.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's a lot of that's a lot of effort up front to be able to make that happen. But yeah, so number one, simple Facebook ads, simple Facebook prompts. Number two, simple website. Keep your website simple as well. And number three, get phone numbers. I would say those the most common mistake I see is just people just going way over the top, spending way too much time making their website or ads just crazy colors. You have like purples, yellows, oranges, and greens all on one page, and I don't know where to look at. And like the only thing that might be like white or like a light gray is the call to action button where it's like get a free quote, and you're like, this is the only thing that you don't have right here. So yeah, just making sure that your call to action super bright, Facebook ads simple, Google ads again. We keep our Google ads fairly simple as well. We're just like Spokane's pooper scooper service. Utilize your branding, swoop scoop. Sometimes, like if you do offer a deal, that is good to have on there where it's like free poop scoop service. You only have so many characters that you can use on Google, so makes it a little bit more important to be as specific as possible because if you're using 90 words and you're just telling people that they're going to get a clean yard and their dogs are going to be happy and they'll be happy, like somebody's not going to really know what you mean. And yeah, I would say those are probably all of the most important things though when it comes to advertising. I would just tell people keep it simple.
What did they say? Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, I was doing the nice version.
Yeah, I'm feeling spicy today. All right, well, cool. So we're keeping it simple. We're keeping it targeted. How much money? Let's talk about the money. How many customers are we going to get if we're putting $5 a day, $10 a day in?
I always try to lead people to do at least $20 a day. That's kind of the bare minimum that I would recommend. Technically speaking, you can spend $5 or $10 a day. Um, if you are spending $20 or less a day when it comes to Facebook specifically, when it comes to Google, we can go over that after. They both are going to function slightly differently, but for Facebook, if I was to run with $20 per day, I would make sure that I was targeting probably around maximum 50,000 people, probably even a little bit less, around 25,000 people would be my population that I'd be targeting for $20. Uh, for us, we're at about like 250,000 people in Spokane that we can target that may or may not have dogs. Like and so for us, I mean, we're spending, I want to say right now, we dropped it down a little bit because we didn't experience a thaw. So it's probably about $800 a day currently. Um, but that would be more if we did have a winter thaw, like significantly more. But right now, it's just as your acquisition cost increases, you want to decrease spend in accordance with that. So, taking a step back, I typically only run website traffic. There's a lot of people in the poop scoop industry who use lead forms. Lead forms and website traffic are going to be completely different be, so to say. When it comes to lead forms, you can have a lower budget, which is great for some people. But when it comes to website traffic, you have essentially infinite budget you can work with, depending on how large your service area is. So, for instance, like if I was going to run a lead format, I could probably never run $200 to lead formats.
Is
Like
that
it's
too
just not. Yeah, it's gonna be significantly too high. You're gonna have diminishing returns very quickly when you're on lead formats. So you might be around like the $20 to $40 per day mark when it comes to lead formats, and then you're gonna see massive diminishing returns on that.
Why is that?
I think when it comes to lead formats, Facebook just has a tough time finding the right persona that is going to fill out lead forms specifically on Facebook, because really that's what it boils down to is you're setting the target parameters when it comes to who Facebook is targeting. So you're basically saying target these people that maybe have dog interests within this square, this area, and Facebook goes, "Okay, I'm going to show it to X amount of people." But I don't think people have the efficacy to actually fill out a lead form that they do to go check out a website. And so if somebody checks out your website and wants your service, I mean, everybody's used to checking out a website. There's only so many people who's going to fill out a lead form. And so Facebook just has a tough time finding enough people to fill out those lead forms when it comes to staying on Facebook. They would just a typical consumer would prefer to go to a website. So that's where you can get a higher potential of spending more budget leading people to your website. Another benefit of that too is I always tell people is like creating your own ecosystem is sending people to your website. That's where you can retarget them through Google from website visitors, Facebook Pixel as well. And then you can also collect their phone number. So everything's working cohesively once you get to the point that you can utilize your website. If you're just using lead forms, it's pretty much you. Again, people have like hooked lead forms in to like go high level or be able to like zap them over to another system. Like that's great if you can do that. But for the most part, if somebody is starting up a scooping company, they don't have that ability and they're just needing to reach out to all these leads through Facebook. So they're just strapped to Facebook the whole
Oh, it's
time.
terrible. It's terrible. So last year, I feel like you're calling me out right now, and I don't think we even had this conversation. This is what happened to me last year. It was the first time I ever ran Facebook ads. I didn't ask questions because I didn't know. I didn't know what questions to ask. I had no idea. And I was spending all this money on Facebook ads, and I'm like, where are my Facebook customers at? Like, what's going on? Oh, they were in there, but they were in Facebook, in the whatever it is behind the scenes. I didn't know. I had hundreds. I had hundreds of people that had filled out stuff and I didn't talk to them. I didn't reach out because I didn't know. I didn't even know how to download the report because like you said, they stayed in Facebook and I was very upset. And it's just too time consuming, especially when you're going into spring rush when things are kind of getting crazy. Like you have been repeating, like, the theme throughout this conversation is you have to keep it as simple as possible. Like, that's how you're gonna scale, that's how you're gonna grow, that's how you're gonna get the attention. And so, yeah, for any of you that are listening to this, don't be a me, don't make that mistake, like, just make it as simple as possible, get people to your website.
Yeah, and it's gonna save a lot of time. If you it gets a little bit more complicated. I know you utilize Jobber, so technically speaking, there are some steps after using Jobber to get them on, like with their credit card and other information. So there are potentially like lead forms that people are using that they might still have to do some contact, but at least 90% of the work is done for you at that point, and you're not needing to just start a conversation with somebody, have 15 different messages back and forth to them. Even if they just fill out that Jobber form, a lot more work is done just from that standpoint, and there's just a couple questions that need to be asked. Or if, for instance, like somebody does use a sweep and go or has like a checkout process on their website, then they're going to be able to just have the card on file. They don't really have to do anything except for, hey, we're coming out on Tuesday. So that saves you a lot of time either way. But that's another benefit of not utilizing Facebook lead forms, Facebook messaging. Again, there are ways to get around that, like having a good go high level automation setup or just like an AI bot that can talk back and forth with them. But again, that just takes even more time to set up when you don't really need to do it. You can just have them go to your website. Uh, So I focus solely on website, making sure also that you have conversion tracking set up properly. Never send people to your website if you don't have conversion tracking set up properly, which is a big thing. A lot of people just don't even realize that conversions are a thing. They just think that the internet is going to do all of this for them and they have nothing to worry about. So that is going to be very, very big. Back to the question though, like the 5, 10, $20. I try to base it off of around 100,000 people for a population to start with. So say if I was going to target 100,000 people in any given area, I would spend $100. So for us, one new strategy that we have, I would say, kind of created in the industry, and not a lot of people were doing it before I really started here, but is over segmenting areas. And so, what I mean by that is if you're covering an area that might be 200,000 individuals, like what are the actual neighborhoods that sit within that 200,000 population city? And so, if you can break it down, find, say, three zip codes that might be called like North Yard or South Yard, like, and just target those areas. So you're like North Yard dog owners, like a, it's hyper targeted. B, you can build off of that for smaller budgets for every single campaign you're running. So maybe in North Yard, you have 100 clients that you've received from your Facebook advertising. But if you go to South Yard, you have 20 and your cost per acquisition is 5 times higher. So maybe you just want to focus having all of your yard signs in North Yard, focus on growing that area to be as dense as possible and dominate there rather than spreading yourself over this entire area, whereas you don't even have any idea. Like you can guess because you see all of your route density, but really you don't know a lot of the time when people are starting off where any of these customers are coming from. And so I would say just start very, very small audiences. Like you can't do micro, you can't just target like 1,000 or 2,000 people. It has to be large enough, but target around like 25,000 people if you're on a $20 budget, and then just expand from there. But on a $20 budget, I would say the typical cost per acquisition somebody's wanting to achieve on Facebook, if you're in a very, very uncompetitive market and you're like the only scooper, you could probably be around $60 to $70 acquisition cost. And that's like amazing. Everybody wants to be in that market for, and this is for Facebook specifically. Um, if you're in like a hyper competitive market, like just a big city, it's probably can get as high as $250 for a larger city. And so the higher you can spend though, the cheaper your acquisition cost theoretically could be as long as you don't reach diminishing returns. So if you could be at like a $200 budget, you would probably be at around, say, the $125 acquisition cost on Facebook. But if you were to spend $20 over a week, you're probably more likely to have a higher acquisition cost because Facebook has a harder time learning. And so each day they're basically having to just reboot from scratch. And it's almost just like throwing darts at a dartboard. And sometimes you might get a bullseye and you think your ad's running great, but you need to spend enough for Facebook to actually learn. Same thing with Google. But Google's a little bit better because somebody's punching in a very specific search term, and so when it comes to Google, you can almost have a smaller budget, but you might not be able to compete for very many clicks. And then your ad score is not going to be increased because people aren't necessarily showing that A, they're searching for a product. They're going to your website. They're sitting on your website for a long time. They're purchasing. That's what Google loves because they're basically saying, hey, my consumer is somebody that goes on Google. You're giving my consumer a really good time because they search this item, pooper scooper service, and they go to your website for a long time and buy your product. So I bring up your ad score and I can get lower cost per click because I'm giving their consumer exactly what they want when they search for that. And so Realistically, that's going to be more beneficial again to spend more as long as you're doing it right, obviously, for Facebook or Google. Like you can start lower, kind of figure out how the two platforms work. If you already know how they work, then start with whatever you're comfortable with in the middle to where you potentially can bring it down if it's not working super well or grow into more.
Okay. Um, my next follow-up question to that is you were talking about search terms. What would you say the top 5 search terms are or keywords for this industry?
Uh, I do have a top 5. The only I can think of off the top of my head, pooper scooper service is really big. It's actually kind of funny because it swaps a little bit from place to place. Like for us, pooper scooper service is one of our, if not our largest converting keyword, like just that exact term. But we also have pooper scooper service on our website specifically. And so it's like pooper scooper service, dog waste removal, pet waste removal. On that note, one thing I do want to mention is a lot of people will use pooper scooper
I was
or
just gonna
poop
ask you
scoop.
about that. Yep.
Yeah, and so a lot of people use Poop Scoop or Pooper Scooper, and it's probably no bigger mistake that you can make on Google than using those two specific terms, because the majority of people that are searching for a poop scoop or a pooper scooper, again, no service attached to the end of those, is looking for the actual tool. And so you're going to be competing with Amazon, your local hardware store, local pet store, like what have you, and you're going to be spending a lot for every single click that you get, and somebody's going to bounce right off your page. So every single time you get a click on that, it's like boom, $10 down the drain.
Can you add, like, Amazon into your negative keywords?
It doesn't necessarily work. You can for Amazon, but that's not what they're searching for. So
Okay,
they're going to be searching for poop scoop, and you're both just bidding on poop scoop.
gotcha. Okay. Alright, cool. We're man, the time flies. We've already been talking for an hour. So I'm gonna ask you one more question before we wrap up. Say if somebody they have $1,000. They have $1,000 a month to spend on ads, like, that's it. Where do you think they should allocate their funds first and foremost for marketing?
So if they have $1,000, I'm under the assumption that their website's clean, they have like a decent enough brand. I would take that $1,000 and I would purchase probably 50 yard signs. So that would be about $250 of my budget. So I have about $750 left for this individual. For that $750 left, I would take ideally, I would want to take, because it's kind of tough when it comes to Google, because depending on where they're actually able to rank on ads, they might not be able to be shown enough to say spend $500. If in an ideal world, I would make sure that I could spend $500 when it came to Google advertising. And then that's where I guess, maybe $300 on Facebook and 450 on Google. So I could spend $10 a day on Facebook. But I would just need to target just a very, very small area. So I would spend about $10 a day on Facebook, but I would put out my yard signs all over that one singular area that I'm targeting. And you would have enough with 50 to also be able to replenish some of the ones that leave from that area, and then have all of the Google search terms that I essentially could bid on for relatively cheap. Anything that's about like $5 to $10 cost per click, I would be bidding on until essentially just that $500 was out.
I like it. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I got one question selfishly before we, wrap this one up. Is there any way to stop somebody from hate clicking on your ads on Google?
It won't really matter.
Okay.
So the way that Google does it now is they have like invalid clicks. And so if they see that somebody, technically speaking, somebody could just keep hopping around random computers and go to different IP addresses, and they might charge you like 10, 20, $30. But if they're just constantly doing it from their own computer, it's just going to go down as an invalid click, and Google's just going to reimburse you that money. So if you go onto your Google advertising report, you'll go on there and be like, wow, I have 200 invalid clicks. Like it happens all the time. That's what I was mentioning before. Whereas when I was able to get that money back from the second company I worked for, they didn't really have this automated. You had to go in there and actually do some detective work sometimes on these. They would reimburse some, but it wasn't as fluid as it is now. So it's it's very difficult for somebody to actually charge your advertisements when they're not going to be a consumer. There are ways where they might charge you a little bit, but it's not going to be like one, two, $300.
Okay. Because I made a local competitor mad, and I believe I'm getting rage clicked right now. So, okay.
Okay, yeah, for Facebook, technically they can spend a little bit more on Facebook, but Facebook clicks are just so cheap
Right.
that like they would really have to spend a lot of time in order to do that.
Oh,
Um, but
all right.
yeah, I mean, when it comes to Google, like you don't really have anything to worry about on Google with that.
All right. Well, cool. I appreciate this so much. You gave so much like good, valuable information to kind of digest and a lot of options here.
Yeah, of course. I was happy to be on here. Also, so for anybody that is interested or maybe doesn't understand the advertising that I was talking about here, in Poop Scoop Millionaire, we also do now run Facebook and Google advertising for select individuals. So if you are interested in that, we are allowing just a couple more people to be in that before spring rush. So you could just always DM me on school or email me at marketing@swoopscoop.com.
All right, perfect. What we'll do is we'll include Tanner's email address down below, and then of course there will be a link for the Poop Scoop Millionaire community. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know if I want to have somebody run my ad yet, I'm not quite there yet. I highly recommend if you're not a part of the Poop Scoop Millionaire community, just get in there, see what it's about. I believe Tanner, you're running what is it? Like not events, but you're doing like you guys are doing seminars, like live ones, teaching about advertising and marketing for Spring Rush, right?
Yeah, so we always have two events every single week in Poop Scoop Millionaire. So we have the same two events each week, which are essentially like kind of brainstorm powwows. But for just exclusively this month, we're doing what we call Marketing Mastery Month. And so every Tuesday, I'll be hosting a call within Poop Scoop Millionaire. And really the whole theme is teaching about marketing. You're able to get your actual marketing audited, whether that's Facebook, Google, questions about yard signs, honestly, anything and everything between when it deals with marketing. And it's an open platform to be able to discuss with me. Levi was actually on the last one to answer some operations questions within there too that were kind of in the middle of marketing and operations. So that's going to be the whole month of February that we'll be having that going on. So yeah, every Tuesday,
All right.
4 p.m. Pacific.
4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7. I'm a finger counter. Yeah. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely go ahead and click the links down below to get a hold of Tanner and check out the Poop Scoop Millionaire. I appreciate you hanging out with us. We do this for you. We want to share real experiences from real people so you really understand and get a behind the scenes look at what it takes to run a business because there's a lot of fake stuff on the internet these days. So appreciate you hanging with us, and thank you so much for tuning in, Tanner. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone for listening and hopefully you learned something today.
Oh yeah. Bye guys.